Hey, good morning. Our first stop here this morning on the old McKenzie Highway is here at this Dee Wright Observatory. It's made completely of lava rocks and kind of reminds me of Mordor from Lord of the Rings. And so I'm going to go up there and check out the observatory and see if I can see more of the mountains. If I turn around the camera, the North Sister and the Middle Sister mountains, and then you don't see the South Sister. We may see that a little bit later on our ride, but in front of me is this huge lava flow, and we're at 5,325 feet at the pass here. So today we're going to have a lot of straightaway and downhill going on, so we're looking forward to that. This is Mark's mighty steed, his salsa bike, Salsa Vaya, and here is my mighty steed, the Novara Randonnée that I purchased at REI some time ago. I don't think they make this bike anymore, but it's been a faithful steed, touring steed for me. So let's go on up and check out the climb here. Not a bad view. Road is ours, no cars up or down the road today. Only people we will see will be other cyclists. There in the distance is Mount Washington, and they've got some awesome trails through here. You can walk through these lava beds and learn about Oregon history. There in the distance is Black Butte. Way over there is Mount Jefferson, and those are all mountains and peaks I'm well familiar with. You can see Mark has already made his way up to the top. Say hello, Mark. There he is. Yeah, you know, when you live in Oregon, you realize how very, very volcanic this state is, from east to west, north to south. Pretty much any corner of the state you go to, you're gonna see volcanic action. Here's a place for a selfie, right? You got the Three Sisters behind my head. Oh man, this is great. I tell you, I won't get into all the details, but doing this trip is what the doctor ordered. A lot of stuff going on right now with school and other things. Tyranny, other issues I won't get into now. I'll talk about them at the appropriate time. But anyway, it's good to get away. It's good to be with a friend and be able to chat about life and growing old and having grandkids and how it's good to be alive and our faith. And so it's good. I highly recommend it. I think this might have been built by the same folks that built Timberline Lodge. If you come in here, you can see they have windows out to the various mountains. I don't remember the name of that one, but you can look through these windows and even these little peephole things here. That's Mount Washington, and you can see the vast lava fields here. Mark's watching a Netflix movie, I think. Someday, son, this will be all yours. What, Dad? The curtains? If you have Princess Bride or Napoleon Dynamite or Monty Python lines in your head, you can have a lot of fun with that on virtually any trip. Don't you agree, Mark?
I agree. Pretty much anything you do,
yeah,
there's a line for it.
Right. On the spot. But anyway, you've been a grandfather for how long?
A month.
A month. So it's exciting. We've been kind of celebrating that. Mark is such a nice guy. He's a woodworker, and I know he'll hate me for bragging on him, but he made this wonderful Noah's Ark with all the little creatures for my granddaughter Winnie when she was born, and she loves to play with that. And it's just, I'll have to do a woodworking episode sometime and show you all the amazing things. But he made this incredible rocking chair. Was it walnut? Black walnut? Yeah, out of black walnut. And I mean, it's just a work of art. It's amazing. And other things that he's made, tables and stuff. So he's really got a gift. But anyway, he's my hiking buddy dude. I think we've been doing this for how long? At least 10 years, I think, something like that. So anyway, this is our first trip up to this route, and because they're closing it on the 15th of June, we just thought it was the opportune time to come up and enjoy the beautiful scenery.
The Pioneer Mailman. On the knoll behind this sign once stood a rustic cabin in which pioneer mailman John Templeton Craig died in December 1877. Craig, who was 56, blimey, Mark, that's close to our age, had been employed to carry the mail between McKenzie Bridge and Camp Polk, near Sisters. While carrying the Christmas mail, please note that the C is not capitalized, Craig was caught in a sudden storm and later found frozen to death inside the cabin by a search party.
Bicyclists had a collision with a car, and I didn't see him bleeding from the head or anything, but they were going to transport him to the hospital. So that was not a nice thing to see, especially since I've been in a bike accident and been hit by a car. It just kind of brought back some memories. It was not very pleasant. So anyway, we're on the north side of the old McKenzie Highway and heading toward Belknap Hot Springs, seeing what is to see there, probably have some lunch, and then make the long, arduous trip back up. Wouldn't you say arduous is the word, Mark?
I would say arduous.
I'm sure there's some other synonyms that we will come up with along the way.
Profanities.
Yeah, well, we'll see what we can come up with. So
Grueling.
Grueling, there you go. Grueling sounds good. Back on a straightaway for a while, so I thought I'd chat with you. Going through again, the northern side of the old McKenzie Highway.
We descended. It was a wonderful descent, but you know what that means. It means it's gonna be an arduous ascent back to the campground. So I've got probably about, I don't know, 15, 16 more miles to go, pretty much all uphill. And some of it's pretty steep. It's like switchbacks. But anyway, just riding along through this beautiful forest land. My wife and I often drive down this road in the spring, or I'm sorry, in the fall when the leaves are colorful. It's just beautiful. Reds and golds, and yellows, and it's just beautiful because you've got this Douglas fir mixed in with a lot of deciduous stuff, vine maple and so forth. There's a lot of trillium out here, which is like this white flower that grows on close to the ground. So anyway, just thought I'd let you know I'm still alive and I'm climbing back up the hill, so I better put the camera away. Ta-ta! Oh man, I thought that ascent would never end. I think we started at Belknap Hot Springs at about 1:30, and I think it's about 4:30 now. Mark's way ahead of me. I'm a slow climber. I'm like the tortoise. I mean, I'll eventually get there, but if my heart is racing, man, I stop and rest. And I have found that if I do that, I don't tend to cramp up as much, and also if I drink enough water. So anyway, I'm here at the top. I'll give you a little look at the road. That's called, folks, a flat road that makes a person very happy after they've been climbing steep hills. You probably notice all the fire damage here as I pan around. There was a huge fire that raced through here. I think it was no more than 3 years ago, and it did a lot of damage. Yeah, we've had some pretty devastating fires here. There was a really bad one that some teenage jerk set off with a firecracker that just destroyed some of the most pristine and beautiful hiking areas in the Columbia Gorge, you know, with waterfalls, and one in particular that everyone loved, and it's just devastated. I don't know how this one started. It could have been lightning, but you know, it's pretty bad in here. It's you know, you can see it's really gray. And then out where we were camping last night, at part of the lake, if you go to the right of the lake, it looks pretty much like this, but the left of the lake was spared. So I don't know if the Forest Service fought it off so it wouldn't destroy the campground completely or what, but I mean, you know, fire is a cleansing agent in many ways, and including the forest. So, you know, it's how it cleanses itself, and it's amazing how quickly it regenerates. If you've ever gone up to Mount St. Helens and seen, I mean, I lived here in what was that, 1980 when it exploded. I was doing a play at the time called Dark of the Moon at Very Little Theater in Eugene. And so I remember where I was, what I was doing, but I went up there maybe a year later with my mom. She drove us up there, and it looked like a nuclear blast. All the trees, huge Douglas fir cedar trees were down like toothpicks. But you go up there now, and it's really regenerated. It's amazing how fast. And I think Yellowstone Park, they had a big fire maybe 10, 15 years ago, and it's amazing how things grow back. And you know, one nice thing about a fire as a hiker is that you go to these places that once you didn't see the mountains, but because the trees are out of the way, you can see incredible views of the mountains. You know, it's kind of like making lemonade out of lemons, I guess. But anyway, I'm gonna press on. Mark's probably back in camp, having his dinner, relaxing, reading a book, maybe taking a nap, and here I am, the tortoise, chugging along as usual. But you know what? I'm going to be 60 years old in December, and I feel pretty good that I continue to move, and I've done some of the most arduous and most difficult and adventurous things,
in my 50s. It's kind of funny when I think about it. I mean, some of the things that I've done, climbing mountains on my bike, you know, I'm slow, but I get there. And if I cramp up, man, I get off my bike and I shake it off. And sometimes I get such a bad cramp in my leg that I think I'm done. I can't even move. But with some stretching and some time and just patience, it eventually works itself out. So I don't know the science behind that. I've been told that you need to have enough salt in your system and, you know, make sure you drink enough water, stay hydrated. So, all right, that's Tim's medical moment for now. So I'll say goodbye now and get caught up with you a little bit later. Villa Scriptura, faithful viewers who've stayed on this long. That sign behind me, that is one of the best things to see as a cyclist. The summit sign. So after about 4.5 hours roughly, if Belknap Hot Springs is around 1,000 feet, we've climbed over 4,000 feet. That's a pretty big ascent on a bicycle. Anyway, especially for the Tortoise. The Tortoise made it. The Tortoise is 59.5. The Tortoise is proud of himself. Yay! The Tortoise, yes. So anyway, I heard it might snow in our elevation vicinity and even lower. So it'll be an interesting night. But you know, I got dry clothes, a down sleeping bag. I got a down coat I brought, a down hood. I did forget my beanie, but I do have my cycling hat, so my little beanie that I wear under my helmet for cycling. So it should be good. All right, well, I'm gonna be in camp in about 10-15 minutes. Mark is, like I said, he's probably taken a nap, read a book, read 2 books, and he's probably eaten dinner already. And he'll probably scold me for how slow I've been, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It's making it that's important, right? Yes. Good morning. It's Saturday morning and we're going to be heading back to Sisters today. We're at Lava Lake Campground again, and you can see behind me on the lake that the atmospherics are a little bit different this morning. Little rain and wind action has blown in, a little bit of I would say a minor storm going on. Maybe a little bit of rain last night, but it wasn't horrible. Some people thought there might be snow. I don't know, maybe later today. I think we'll be fine on the descent down back into Sisters. Hopefully grab breakfast and just enjoy our last day of camaraderie before heading back to P-Town. Well, I don't live in P-Town, but I live in Newburgh, outside of P-Town. So we'll get back into the craziness that always goes on in P-Town. But it's been great to escape that up here in the lovely mountains, the wonderful scenery, the lava flows, the trees, the meadows, seeing a bunch of cyclists enjoying this last week or so while the road is open only to bicyclists and of course hikers. If hikers want to go for it, they can, and then cars will be allowed on the road on the 10th. So it's always great. I love being out in nature, and I always feel so much closer in many ways to God. I mean, not that I don't feel close to God and have close God encounters, I guess, in the city, but I don't know, there's just something about connecting with earth in its primeval form, and I don't know, I just feel like I'm closer to paradise out here. And really, you know, as people, we were created to be stewards, be husbandmen, if you will, of the earth. That was our created purpose. And so Mark and I have talked about this before, that there's something about being, whether it's snow or being out here in the summer or spring or fall, whatever, there's just something that, I don't know, it just engenders a sense of connection. And I think it's because we were created to be connected to the earth and be stewards of the earth. Anyone who spends time in nature, I don't care if you're conservative or liberal, there is no way that you want to see forests polluted and water polluted. That's just ridiculous to try to pit people against each other according to their politics. That's crazy. I don't know anyone, conservative or liberal, who spends time out in the woods, who wants to see the woods and the water and everything destroyed. That's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm just going to go up and enjoy the fire a little bit more and give you a little look at camp. I think Mark and I had a bit of a snore fest going on last night. We worked so hard on that 4,000 foot elevation gain on the way back up that I think we slept pretty soundly, although from time to time we were awoken by one another's snore symphonies. But you know, that's just part of it. That's just part of the thing. And I certainly wasn't going to go out and do cowboy camping in the wind and the cold and the potential rain. So anyway, let's head back up to camp and see what Mark is up to.
Hey, my name is Mark Valeske, and we're out here in the middle of nowhere on another bike adventure, and we're having a great time. The weather is finally clearing up a little bit. We get a little bit of sunshine, so that's really nice. So I've known Tim since, I don't know, ever. Professionally, we both worked for the Portland School District, and he was a teacher and I was an occupational therapist, and occasionally I'd have students in his classroom and we got to know each other, and I would ride my bike in to school, commuting to work, and we would have conversations about riding bikes and stuff. And I said, well, you should join me on a bike trip. And one summer he said, well, I'm gonna take you up on that offer. And we took a trip through Central Oregon together, and that began a long history of adventures together, riding bikes, touring, snow camping, snowshoeing, all kinds of different things. So we've had a lot of fun together, and I look forward to many more adventures. About a month ago, my son had his first child, which was also our first grandchild. So now Tim and I share that common bond of being grandparents. And he was asking me what was something that I was really excited about, or what what it really means to me to be a grandfather. And I think I'm still sorting that out, trying to figure out exactly what that means. But my first impression is you get all the love and all the fun stuff without all the responsibility. So I'm looking forward to just loving on this little tiny human, and hopefully over the years imparting some of the wisdom that I've learned and sharing some of my mistakes and how I learned from them, and also helping my son and his wife as they raise this little one, and being able to share the mistakes I made with him, and hopefully he doesn't have to repeat them again. Yeah, so I don't know, for as long as I can remember, I think there's a part of me that's always just enjoyed getting outdoors. I grew up kind of on the edge of town. There was a big field right behind our house, and we were always just out there having dirt clod fights and messing around and riding our bikes out in the country. And I've always just loved getting away, and it affords an opportunity to leave all of the things behind that are distractions, and take your attention away from other things, and to just be in nature. And Tim and I have an appreciation for that together, and we just enjoy being out. And I think there's something about having a fire and just sitting there and staring into the flames that gives you an opportunity, I think, to say things that you might not normally say as you're driving around town in the car or sitting across the table at a meal. It just gives you the freedom and the comfort, I think, when you're out in God's creation, to open up and be more vulnerable, and like I said, just share things that you might not normally share in a typical home environment.
See how easy that is? There's nothing to Hollywood.
Except that in Hollywood we'd have to do it 10 more takes.